In this module, we're going to look at how to conjugate the future tense in Spanish. Now, there are three ways to talk about or express the future. We can use the present tense. For example, lo hago mañana. Literally, I do it tomorrow. Now, this sounds wrong in English, but it's perfectly correct in Spanish. Another example would be, te llamo esta noche. I call you tonight. Te lo mando pronto. I send it to you soon. Now, typically, the present tense combined with some sort of time frame in the future is used for the short-term future. So we're talking about things that will typically happen later today or tomorrow or tonight. So the first way to express the future is that you can use the present tense plus some sort of time frame, a short time frame in the future. Now, you can also simply say going to. We use this a lot in English, and I honestly feel it's the easiest way to express the future in Spanish. So we have things like voy a hacerlo, I'm going to do it, or voy a llamarte, I'm going to call you, voy a mandártelo pronto, I'm going to send it to you soon. Now, the third way, which is the basis of this module, is where we actually conjugate the verb into the future. Now, this is actually quite easy as well, but of course will take a little bit of practice. Let's take the verb hablar as an example. To conjugate this in the future, we would keep the full verb hablar and we would add on these other endings. So it's very important to realize that 99% of the time you will keep the full entire verb. It doesn't matter if it's an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb, you will keep the full verb and add on these extra bits. So we would have hablaré, hablarás, hablará, hablaremos, and hablarán. So this has, a, hemos, and an is what we're adding to the full verb. Really, the only tricky bit is the pronunciation. You have to get used to including the full verb and then stressing these last points. Hablaré, hablarás, hablará, hablaremos, hablarán. If you do not stress those end points, you will not be understood. Let's take tocar as another example. This is the verb to touch. So we'd have tocaré, tocarás, tocará, tocaremos, tocarán. Again, the exact same endings, and we continue to use the full verb tocar. Let's take one more, tomar. So we have tomaré, tomarás, tomará, tomaremos, tomarán. The a sound tends to dominate when we're conjugating the future. So we have as, a, and an. There's only 2 points where it doesn't do that. It's for I and we, where it goes into an e. So we have tomaré and tomaremos. So far, we've only used verbs with 2 syllables as our examples. Hablar, tocar, and tomar. These are all 2-syllable verbs. Now things get a little more tricky in terms of pronunciation when we move into 3-syllable verbs, such as esperar. So here we have 3 syllables, esperar. The tricky thing is that you have to remember to keep the full verb and only stress the endings that you will add on to it. So the sound becomes esperaré, esperarás, esperará, esperaremos, esperarán. This is certainly one area where you may find yourself being caught out or running into some difficulty. Where you have these longer 3-syllable verbs, you have to remember to keep the entire verb. So once again, esperaré, esperarás, esperará, esperaremos, esperarán. Now remember, you could of course say I will wait by conjugating it for esperaré, or simply say voy a esperar, as we have been doing so far in the course. Either way will work perfectly fine. Here's another 3-syllable verb, caminar. I wonder just from this slide if you could pause and conjugate your way down the line in the future tense. Try to do that now. It would be caminaré, caminarás, caminará, caminaremos, caminarán. The exact same endings, as, a, hemos, and an, hitting or stressing that final point, keeping the full verb all the way down the line. Now, while the correct pronunciation of these 3-syllable verbs in the future tense can be a little bit tricky, the nice thing about conjugating the future is that the endings do not change. They're always the same, regardless if you are using an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb. For example, let's take comer. Here we have an ER verb. So, conjugating into the future, this would be comeré, comerás, comerá, comeremos, comerán. Once again, we are keeping the full verb all the way down the line and adding the exact same endings. How would you do that? Let's try this with romper. Try to conjugate it down the line inside the future tense. It would be romperé, romperás, romperá, romperemos, romperán. Here's a slightly tougher one for you. We'll take the verb prometer. Again, it's an ER verb, but we have now 3 syllables. Try to conjugate it down the line in the future. Prometeré, prometerás, prometerá, prometeremos, prometerán. Let's take a look at the key points to take away from this lesson. When conjugating the future, we're always using the same endings. As, a, hemos, and an. This is regardless of whether it's an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb. We're always adding the same endings that you see in red. Secondly, almost always we're using the full verb and simply adding these extensions onto it. Now, there are a handful of exceptions, which we will go through later on in this module, but 99.9% of the time, you will use the full verb and add on these extra extensions to it. In part 2, we'll take 5 verbs to create 25 questions. You'll have to convert the verbs into the future tense. First of all, how would you say we will eat? Comeremos. She will walk. Caminará. You will speak. Hablarás. You will eat. Comerás. They will speak. Hablarán. He will touch. Tocará. We will walk. Caminaremos. They will eat. Comerán. They will promise. Prometerán. We will speak. Hablaremos. It will eat. Comerá. They will speak. Hablarán. They will touch. Tocarán. You will promise. Prometerás. I will eat. Comeré. She will speak. Hablará. I will promise. Prometeré. I will touch. Tocaré. They will walk. Caminarán. I will speak. Hablaré. He will promise. Prometerá. You will walk. Caminarás. We will promise. Prometeremos. We will touch. Tocaremos. I will walk. Caminaré. You will touch. Tocarás. Now let's move into some short phrases or sentences. How would you say, she will talk with you later? Hablará contigo más tarde. I will walk to work tomorrow morning. Caminaré al trabajo mañana en la mañana. If you put it on the table, the children will break it. Si lo pones en la mesa, los niños lo romperán. Jose will speak at the meeting tonight. José hablará en la reunión esta noche. I will talk with my neighbor tomorrow. Let's pretend that our neighbor is female. Hablaré con mi vecina mañana. We will promise the same to everyone. Be careful here. Les prometeremos lo mismo a todos. I told you to be careful because we were going to use the redundant le and the personal a. It will break if you do that, and I'd like you to use romper reflexively. Try to work it out. Se romperá si haces eso. Very often, native Spanish speakers will use the verb romper reflexively, meaning it will break itself if you do that. So we had the reflexive pronoun of se for itself, and it will break, romperá. We'll explore using or conjugating the future tense with reflexive verbs more deeply later on in this module. Welcome to part 3. One of the nice things about conjugating in the future is that it tends to be very regular across all verbs. 99.9% of the time, all verbs will conjugate in the exact same way. However, as with most things in Spanish, there are some exceptions. So I'm going to show you those now. Some verbs, when conjugating in the future, will introduce a D into the spelling. One of those verbs is poner, which means to put. So if you wanted to express I will put, the sound goes to pondré, and you can see the D being introduced into the spelling here. You'll see later on in the lesson that this D remains all the way down the line, no matter what angle you use. Another verb that does this exact same thing is salir, to go out. So to express I will go out becomes saldré. Again, you can see the D being introduced into the spelling. There are two more to be aware of that also behave in this way. We have tener going to tendré and venir going to vendré. So they form a nice little group. These are the 4 common exceptions which you should be aware of. Poner, pondré. Salir, saldré. Tener, tendré. Venir, vendré. You also know that when conjugating the future, 99.9% of the time you use the full verb. However, there are some exceptions where certain verbs actually get shortened. For example, the verb to be able to is poder, and I will be able to goes to podré. Now, it doesn't really belong to the last class or the last group because this D is already included in the original spelling. The thing about this group is that they're being shortened, so instead of using the full verb and adding on the E like this, podere, you can see where it's been shortened to simply podré. And this is the characteristic that classifies this group of exceptions. In other words, they do not use the full verb and add on the future endings like most of the other verbs do. They get shortened. Here's another example for you with decir. I will say or I will tell goes to diré. Again, this is something, this shortened version will continue all the way down the line, as you'll see in future lessons. Also, hacer goes to haré. So instead of saying haceré, which sounds or is very difficult to pronounce, very awkward, this is why it got shortened to simply haré. We also have querer going to querré, or saber going to sabré. In each case, the full version of the verb is not being used. It's being shortened, and the principal reason for this is to make them easier to pronounce. Let's try using a few of these exceptions now. We'll begin with the verb poner, which goes to pondré. So this belongs to the group where a D gets added into the spelling. Now, this D will continue all the way down the line, so you'll have pondré, pondrás, pondrá, pondremos, and pondrán. You always include the D in your pronunciation. Also, poner can mean to put but also to place. For example, I will place it on the table for you. How would you say that? Lo pondré en la mesa para ti. Let's practice conjugating it. Once again, how would you say I will put? Pondré. You will put? Pondrás. He, she, or it will put? Pondrá. We will put? Pondremos. They will put? Pondrán. Salir goes to saldré in the future. How would you say, I will go out tonight? Saldré esta noche. Let's conjugate it again. I will go out. Saldré. You will go out. Saldrás. He, she, or it will go out. Saldrá. We will go out. Saldremos. They will go out. Saldrán. Next up we have tener going to tendré. How would you say, I will have it for you tomorrow morning? Lo tendré para ti mañana en la mañana. Let's conjugate it. I will have. Tendré. You will have. Tendrás. He, she, or it will have. Tendrá. We will have. Tendremos. They will have. Tendrán. Venir goes to vendré. How would you say, I will come again to visit you soon? Vendré otra vez para visitarte pronto. Let's conjugate it. I will come. Vendré. You will come. Vendrás. He, she, or it will come. Vendrá. We will come. Vendremos. They will come. Vendrán. Decir, on the other hand, belongs to the group of verbs that get shortened. So I will say or I will tell goes to diré. How would you say, I will say it to them tomorrow? Se lo diré mañana. Here we have the it to them with sello, combined with the future. Let's conjugate it. I will say, diré. You will say, dirás. He, she, or it will say, dirá. We will say, diremos. They will say, dirán. Hacer goes to haré, and this is quite a nice thing because if you imagine using the full verb and adding on the future ending, you get a sound like of haceré. Instead, haré is much more compact, much easier to pronounce. So how would you say, I will do the work today? Haré el trabajo hoy. Let's conjugate. I will do, haré. You will do, harás. He, she, or it will do, hará. We will do, haremos. They will do, harán. Saber goes to sabré. Again, it's not using the full verb and adding on like this, saberé. Instead, it's sabré, shortened. Let's conjugate. How would you say, I will know? Sabré. You will know. Sabrás. He, she, or it will know. Sabrá. We will know. Sabremos. They will know. Sabrán. Let's walk through a summary of the most important information to take away from this video. Here we have our first group where a D gets introduced into the spelling. So poner goes to pondré, salir, saldré, tener, tendré, venir, vendré. You can hear that strong D sound being introduced when it's conjugated into the future. And these verbs are also being shortened, but not as drastically as our second group. So poder goes to podré. Decir is very irregular. This changes to an I, so we have diré. Hacer goes to haré, and saber goes to sabré. So we have together 4 and 4, meaning 8 exceptions that are very important to be aware of. Now, these exceptions, you don't have to worry about them if you are going to continue using voya, basa, bar, and so forth. But they are very important to be aware of if you will be using or conjugating into the future with these verbs. In part 4, I'd like to do a little housekeeping. We're going to look at the verbs ir, ser, and estar in the future tense. Now, there's nothing irregular about these verbs when they conjugate into the future. I just want to make you familiar with them before we go into our drills. Let's start with ir. Now, this is a really short verb, so I will go is simply iré. Once again, we're using the full verb and just adding on our standard endings for the future tense. So we have iré, irás, irá, iremos, and irán. Then we have the verb ser, and the famous saying, what will be, will be. In the song it's que será, será. But actually, native speakers will say lo que será, será. Here you can see the verb ser being used in its full form and the future ending just being tagged on to the end of it. So I will be is seré. You will be serás. Then we have será, seremos, and serán. So nothing at all unconventional about it. Again, we're taking the full verb and adding on the future endings. The same is true for estar. So we have estaré, estarás, estará, estaremos, and estarán. Before leaving, I'd like to bring this to your attention, and that is to be careful with two particular verbs. They are to come, which is venir, and to sell, which is vender. Now, as we know, I will come goes to vendré. This belongs to the group where they add in a D, so we get vendré. But I will sell behaves normally. You have the full verb and you're just adding on the future endings. So you get the sound of venderé. But as you can see, vendré and venderé, it could be easy to get them confused. So remember, with the verb to sell, there's nothing out of the ordinary about it. It isn't an exception. So you would have the full verb all the way down the line, adding on the endings venderé, venderás, venderá, venderemos, venderán. It's only with the verb to come that you get this D placed in it. So just be careful. To come is an exception, but to sell is normal. So tread carefully there. In part 5, I'd like to talk a little bit about using reflexive verbs when conjugating in the future. And we already had an example of this previously with the verb romperse, to break oneself. Now let's take the verb to stay, which as we know is mostly used reflexively. So we have quedarse, to remain one's self. Now what we do is get rid of that reflexive ending and simply focus on conjugating the verb quedar into the future. So this would be quedaré, quedarás, quedará, quedaremos, and quedarán. So here we have the full verb quedar with the future endings added onto it. Now, in order for this verb to continue functioning reflexively, we need to add on or add in the reflexive pronouns. So this would be very easy. Me quedaré, te quedarás, se quedará, nos quedaremos, se quedarán. Here we have I will stay myself, you will stay yourself, he, she, or it will stay himself, herself, or itself, we will stay ourselves, they will stay themselves. This is what you will do for all reflexive verbs when you want them to work in the future. See if you can conjugate it on your own now. How would you say I will stay? Me quedaré. You will stay. Te quedarás. He, she, or it will stay. Se quedará. We will stay. Nos quedaremos. They will stay. Se quedarán. Another example of a reflexive verb is to sit down. So we have the verb sentarse. Here you can see the reflexive pronoun with se. So once again, we want to get rid of that and simply conjugate the verb into the future. So we'd have sentaré, sentarás, sentará, sentaremos, and sentarán. And onto the end of that, we would add in our reflexive pronouns. So I'm not going to help you as much this time through. Try to do it yourself. How would you say, I will sit down? Me sentaré. You will sit down. Te sentarás. He, she, or it will sit down. Se sentará. We will sit down. Nos sentaremos. They will sit down. Se sentarán. With reflexive verbs, there is that extra step to think of because we're not just conjugating now into the future by adding on these endings, but we also have to remember to put the correct reflexive pronoun up front so that they continue to work reflexively. This one here, they will sit down. We have they will sit themselves down. Se sentarán. In part 6, I'd like to put you through a drill. This is going to consist of 100 questions and will include the top 20 most used verbs in Spanish, the irregulars, that group that we went through, also some reflexive verbs. Also, be aware of that difference between venir and vender going into the future. So there's a lot to trip you up here. Take your time, pause, think it out. Let's run the drill. What is you will do? Harás. He, she, or it will stay. Se quedará. We will give. Daremos. You will go. Irás. You will eat. Comerás. I will do. Haré. We will do. Haremos. They will give. Darán. He, she, or it will give. Dará. I will have. Tendré. We will have. Tendremos. We will go. Iremos. We will say or we will tell. Diremos. I will say or tell. Diré. He, she, or it will arrive. Llegará. You will arrive. Llegarás. He, she, or it will be able to. Podrá. You will be able to. Podrás. They will have. Tendrán. You will write. Escribirás. I will write. Escribiré. They will say or tell. Dirán. You will stay. Te quedarás. They will be able to. Podrán. He, she, or it will be. Estará. You will know. Sabrás. He, she, or it will say. Dirá. You will go out. Saldrás. We will wait. Esperaremos. We will arrive. Llegaremos. I will wait. Esperaré. We will write. Escribiremos. I will be. Estaré. I will arrive. Llegaré. They will sell. Venderán. You will put. Pondrás. I will give. Daré. I will know. Sabré. You will be. Estarás. He, she, or it will have. Tendrá. They will call. Llamarán. They will know. Sabrán. He, she, or it will put. Pondrá. I will stay. Me quedaré. They will be. Serán. You will wait. Esperarás. You will be. Serás. We will go out. Saldremos. He, she, or it will know. Sabrá. We will sell. Venderemos. He, she, or it will call. Llamará. We will call. Llamaremos. You will come. Vendrás. They will wait. Esperarán. I will see. Veré. He, she, or it will see. Verá. I will call. Llamaré. They will do. Harán. You will sell. Venderás. They will come. Vendrán. He, she, or it will eat. Comerá. I will come. Vendré. You will give. Darás. They will eat. Comerán. We will be. Estaremos. He, she, or it will come. Vendrá. They will see. Verán. They will go. Irán. We will know. Sabremos. He, she, or it will go out. Saldrá. You will say or you will tell. Dirás. I will sell. Venderé. We will see. Veremos. You will call. Llamarás. We will put. Pondremos. He, she, or it will go. Irá. You will see. Verás. We will be able to. Podremos. You will have. Tendrás. I will put. Pondré. They will go out. Saldrán. We will be. Seremos. I will be. Seré. He, she, or it will do. Hará. He, she, or it will wait. Esperará. They will stay. Se quedarán. He, she, or it will write. Escribirá. I will be able to. Podré. We will eat. Comeremos. We will stay. Nos quedaremos. We will come. Vendremos. They will be. Estarán. They will write. Escribirán. They will arrive. Llegarán. He, she, or it will be. Será. I will go out. Saldré. He, she, or it will sell. Venderá. They will put. Pondrán. I will go. Iré. I will eat. Comeré. In part 7, we're going to do a second drill. Basically, we'll take half the verbs from the last drill and put them into sentences. First off, let's try this one. I promise I will do it later. Prometo que lo haré más tarde. I need to know if she will stay another night. Necesito saber si se quedará otra noche. How much will we give to them? ¿Cuánto les daremos? You will go there on Friday. Irás allí el viernes. I wonder what you will eat while I'm not here. Me pregunto, ¿qué comerás mientras no estoy aquí? Tomorrow I will feel better. Mañana me sentiré mejor. They will pay the workers on Friday. Pagarán a los trabajadores el viernes. We arrive tomorrow at 12, and they will give it to us later in the afternoon. Llegaremos mañana a las 12 y nos lo darán más tarde en la tarde. It will give you much more confidence. Te dará mucha más confianza. I will have the answer for them soon. Tendré la respuesta para ellos pronto. We will have the money by Monday. Tendremos el dinero para el lunes. It's been agreed that we will go there again next week. Ha sido acordado que iremos allí otra vez la próxima semana. We will tell you this for the last time. Te diremos esto por última vez. I will call you tonight to tell you if it worked. Te llamaré esta noche para decirte si funcionó. They're saying it will arrive late. Están diciendo que llegará tarde. I'm sure you will arrive on time because it starts at 9. Estoy seguro o segura de que llegarás a tiempo porque empieza a las 9. He will be able to see you tomorrow. Podrá verte mañana. Will you be able to collect it later? ¿Podrás recogerlo más tarde? They will have more information for us soon. Tendrán más información para nosotros pronto. Will you write to me every day? ¿Me escribirás todos los días? Someday I will write a great book. Algún día escribiré un gran libro. I'm sure they will ask you to stay here another day. Estoy seguro de que, o segura de que, te pedirán quedarte aquí otro día más. You will stay here until you are feeling better. Te quedarás aquí hasta que te sientas mejor. Hopefully you remembered to throw in the subjunctive here after the trigger hasta que. They will be able to visit you in the morning. Podrán visitarte en la mañana. He will be married soon. Estará casado pronto. She will tell me where I can find it. Me dirá dónde puedo encontrarlo. Will you go out with him? ¿Saldrás con él? They'll leave soon and everything will be normal again. Se irán pronto y todo será normal otra vez. We will arrive to the airport by taxi. Llegaremos al aeropuerto en taxi. I will wait just one more hour. Esperaré solo una hora más. We will write a letter to the principal. Escribiremos una carta al director. I will retire soon and have more time for my family. Me retiraré pronto y tendré más tiempo para mi familia. I will arrive a day late. Llegaré un día tarde. They will sell everything and return to Canada this year. Venderán todo y regresarán a Canadá este año. I will give her flowers. Le daré flores. I will know if you lie to me. Sabré si me mientes. You will be more relaxed at my house. Estarás más relajado o relajada en mi casa. I asked if she will have everything ready by Sunday. Pregunté si tendrá todo listo para el domingo. They will call you again with more news tonight. Te llamarán otra vez con más noticias esta noche. They will know you were lying to them. Sabrán que les estabas mintiendo. We will put it where you want. We'll use the subjunctive to imply wherever you might want. Lo pondrá donde quieras. I will stay here with you. Me quedaré aquí contigo. Those kids will be tall like their father. Esos niños serán altos como su papá. We'll go out tomorrow. Saldremos mañana. We'll sell the house next year. Venderemos la casa el próximo año. Will you come to visit me? ¿Vendrás a visitarme? They will wait forever. Esperarán por siempre. I will see her at the party tonight. La veré en la fiesta esta noche. They will do the same thing. Harán lo mismo. Welcome to part 8. If you think about it, saying I won't is the same as saying I will not. For example, I won't do it. I will not do it. Of course, you could also say I'm not going to do it. Now, this is important because in English, whenever you have I won't, meaning something in the future, I won't do it, I won't say it, I won't be there, I won't call you, whatever it is, you're going to go in to the future conjugation in Spanish. You're going to be using the future. So this would be no lo haré. I won't do it, or I will not do it. Let's try using this. How would you say she won't do it for me? No lo hará para mí. Why won't you do it for me? ¿Por qué no lo harás para mí? We won't do it again. No lo haremos otra vez. They won't do it. No lo harán. Let's take another example verb. How would you say I will tell her? Le diré. Now say I won't tell her. No le diré. The point is that even though will is not being mentioned in the English, we're still using the future. I won't tell her. I will not tell her. No le diré. How would you say, why won't you tell her what happened? ¿Por qué no le dirás lo que pasó? He won't tell me. No me dirá. We won't tell your parents. No les diremos a tus padres or a tus papás. Either way. Also, here we have again the redundant le. No les diremos a tus papás. One more. How would you say, they won't even say a word to them? No les dirán ni una palabra. Here we have to them, they won't say even ni una palabra, not even a word. So remember, saying that you won't is the same as saying you will not, and in both cases you will be using the future in Spanish. In part 9, I'd like to give you another modal verb that you can add to your collection. This would be I will have to. Now, first of all, what is the verb to have to? Tener que. So to express I will have to, it would be tendré que. Here you can see we have the verb tener conjugated into tendré. Then by adding on the que, we get modal verb. I will have to, tendré que. Which, onto the end of that, you can add pretty much whatever verb you like. For example, how would you say, I will have to tell him soon? Tendré que decirle pronto. How would you say, you will have to? Tendrás que. You will have to try it again. Let's use the verb intentar here for to try. Tendrás que intentarlo otra vez. What is he, she, or it will have to? Tendrá que. It will have to wait until tomorrow. Tendrá que esperar hasta mañana. What is we will have to? Tendremos que. Let's try a tougher sentence with this one. How would you say, we will have to apologize to them? For to apologize, we use pedir disculpas. Tendremos que pedirles disculpas. Here we have, we will have to request or ask to them disculpas. Let's try another. We will have to wait to see what will happen. Be careful here. Tendremos que esperar para ver qué pasará. Here we had the future tense twice. Tendremos que and pasará. How would you say they will have to? Tendrán que. They will have to behave themselves better next time. To behave themselves is comportarse. Tendrán que comportarse mejor la próxima vez. So here you have this new modal verb all on one slide. Tendré que, tendrás que, tendrá que, tendremos que, and tendrán que, onto which you can add on any full verb for expressing the idea of will have to in the future. Welcome to part 10 in this module on the future tense. This one is entitled, We use the future, they use the subjunctive. Here's what I mean by that. Look at this sentence. We have, I hope you will do it later. And some of you might be immediately tempted to translate that as, Espero que lo harás más tarde. So here we have, you will do it. Lo harás más tarde. But the important thing to be aware of is that espero que triggers the subjunctive. And using the future tense is not a way around the subjunctive. You cannot get out of having to use the subjunctive after you step on a trigger by going into the future tense in a verb. So the correct answer becomes espero que lo hagas más tarde. I hope that you might do it later. This is what I mean by we use the future, they use the subjunctive. Here's another example for you. I hope you will tell me the truth. Now, I hope or I hope that triggers the subjunctive. So therefore, there's no point in using will tell or will tell me, which would be me dirás, because you've stepped on a trigger. So you have to go into the subjunctive in Spanish. How would you translate that? Espero que me digas la verdad. It's good that you'll be here soon. Es bueno que estés aquí pronto. Here again, we have the subjunctive because es bueno que triggers it. It's a shame that he won't visit me. He won't meaning he will not visit me. Es una lástima que no me visite. It's fantastic that she'll start her new job tomorrow. Es fantástico que empiece su trabajo nuevo mañana. It's possible that he won't arrive on time for the meeting. Es posible que no llegue a tiempo para la reunión. It's incredible that it won't be ready until Monday. Es increíble que no esté listo hasta el lunes. It's sad that they'll never know why he left. For why, what we're really saying is the reason why, so be careful there. Es triste que nunca sepan el por qué se fue. Remember that el por qué is the reason why. Se fue, he left, using irse reflexively but in the dot past. And here we have the subjunctive of saber for they. So going back, we have it's sad that they will never know. So here we have the future in English, they will never know, but the subjunctive in Spanish because of the trigger. It's sad that. Let's try some more. I don't think he will buy the house. No creo que compre la casa. I'm not sure she'll understand my reasons. No estoy seguro o segura de que entienda mis razones. It's not true that we'll ignore his advice. No es cierto que ignoremos su consejo. Let's explore this one a little further, because there's a delicate sound difference which I would like you to be aware of, especially when it comes to 3-syllable verbs, such as ignorar. So here we have a 3-syllable verb, ignorar. Now, if we say we ignore, just normally it would be ignoramos. But in the subjunctive, it switches sides, ignoremos. Now, look at what happens when we say we will ignore. So here we are conjugating in the future. Ignoraremos. Here we have the full verb, ignorar, and we're tagging on the future ending. But notice that delicate difference between ignoremos and ignoraremos. You can hear just how fine a difference that is. So, in summary, there are many occasions in English where we'll step on a subjunctive trigger, such as I hope that, and we will use the future. Will whatever. But in Spanish, you cannot do that. We use the future, they use the subjunctive. You've stepped on a trigger, and once you do that, there's nowhere else to go but into the subjunctive, even if in English we're still using will. Now remember that we have some triggers like this one which always cause the subjunctive to be used, and others where sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. We also have those differences where in the positive it will not trigger the subjunctive, such as creo que, but in the negative it will trigger the subjunctive, no creo que. So these are all little details to be aware of when you are intending to conjugate into the future in Spanish.